Today, the defense gets their chance to speak. What are they going to say? What are they going to say? Okay, I need to calm down. Also, I'm trying to make these videos shorter so that it doesn't take 500 years for them to upload to YouTube like it did last night. But listen, no promises at this point. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. I'm a very early riser. Do you like morning? I love the morning. Listen, I have this much energy this early in the morning because that's how my life works. Today is Thursday, March the 2nd. Welcome to Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. Thank you to all of my Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo friends who posted all the scalding hot tea down in my comments. Oh my God, you guys had so much to say and I was living for it. The most interesting thing I heard, well, there were so many interesting things, but I wish I would have written down names. I didn't. I have a short attention span. Somebody was saying in the comments that every morning Eric Bland meets with Creighton Waters. That is brilliant. Brilliant. Eric Bland, the jackhammer of justice. Eric Bland comes from the Mark Tinsley School of lawyering. He has no chill, none whatsoever, and I love it. The difference, though, between Eric Bland and somebody like Alex Murdaugh also had no chill for a very different reason. Eric Bland is not evil, that we know of. Mark Tinsley, also not evil, that we can prove so far. Listen, what I have learned in this trial is that you can think you know somebody and then boom, you don't. Oh, boom, that was in poor taste because he did blow their heads off. Okay, but you can think you know somebody, but you could be wrong. Today, we get to hear what excuses, explanations, alternative theories of the crime the defense has for Alex. There's some things that I found very interesting that Alex has said on the stand. Roll back in your mind to when he was up on the stand, some of the things that he said. He said he was scared of the police. He did not trust SLED. Okay, so a man with a badge, a man whose family has ruled the county for over 100 years, a man who had blue lights in his car. Boo-boo, you were the police. Like, you could admit that, you could not admit that, but at the end of the day, you were the police. So you were scared of you? You were scared because you knew what y'all was doing? Okay. My personal favorite is when he tries to portray himself like a regular guy. Wealthy. I was not wealthy. I'm just a good old boy. We shooting hogs and I got my spit cup and my dip. No. First of all, dip is disgusting. Although when I was in college, I went to college in Indiana, right? I grew up in Indiana. So I had a bad crush. Okay, like I had a little side thing with this dude. My boyfriend knew about it. It was fine. That's a different story. I had dalliance with this dude who is also a country boy, and he loved dip. And because I liked him, I thought it was so sexy. Today, no, because gum cancer is not cute. Okay, but Alex, I'm a regular guy. I'm only overdrawn by $300,000 at the bank, but don't worry about it. They gave me an overdraft fee of $5. Okay. Further proof that he's trying to make himself and his family look like regular people. Yesterday at the jury tour, did you notice the bike and the planter? They talked about how Maggie used to sometimes ride her bike down to the kennels. And so 21 months, however long it's been since the crime, they had Maggie's old rusted out bike sitting up there by the front porch. Yeah, because that has sat there for 20 months in the Carolinas and has not fallen over. Okay, what is holding? Is it cemented in that place? Also, a little planter. Looks like it was painted by a child that said Buster. It had a little snowman on it because we're just regular people. Listen, I am not mad at the gamesmanship. I saw in a movie somewhere that when the jury came to look at OJ's place, they changed out all the art. And they they sort of added all of these extra things to make him look like a totally different dude than he was. Okay, OJ. Okay, Alec Murdaugh. I'm going to have to hydrate. I could tell today is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. Buckle up, friends. Buckle up. What is Jim Griffin going to say? Listen, Poot is old. Some people like Poot. I am not a Poot fan, but some people like Jim Harputlian, and good for them. Not me. I think he's a scumbag who just needs to go sit over there. But Jim Griffin seems calm and relatable and closer to regular. Listen, defense attorneys always get a bad rap. If I ever commit a crime or a loved one of mine commits a crime, I want them to have the best defense we can afford to make sure that justice gets served. Now, if justice means you got to go to jail, then you got to go to jail. But if justice means you didn't do the thing and you get off, then that is fine too. I think Alex deserves a good, strong defense, as do all people who are faced with criminal charges. Have a strong defense. That way we know we're getting it right. So, Alex, spend up all your money however you need to and put very regular Jim Griffin forward so he can speak calmly to the jury. I think he's going to start off with a dramatic flair. I did not kill my wife. My client did not kill his wife. I'm dying to know what his first sentence is going to be. I'd love to take bets on it. It's going to be something, in my opinion, super splashy to wake everybody up and grab their attention, because word from the courtroom was that yesterday, some of the jurors were kind of bored. They were yawning. One lady fell asleep, was relaxing. There was a man, I'm told, in the back row who leaned back real deep. That's why the judge stopped and took a couple of breaks. What does that mean? Are they bored because they've already decided? Or are they bored because they're like, yeah, whatever? Something tells me that that stretching, that boredom, that whatever, is that a sign? Are they talking to us? Or are they just trying to live their lives because it's been 6 weeks and they're bored to death of this case? And they're on the verge of being able to talk about this case. Think about it. For 6 long weeks, every day, they go to court for 8 hours a day and they listen to evidence and they watch the shenanigans and the back and forth and the who and the what, and they can't talk about it. The reason that I am on this YouTube right here, right now, is because I need to talk about it. I need to talk about it. Those folks have not missed a second. You know they need to talk about it. Emily D. Baker, the legal analyst here on YouTube, said that what she did in her closing statements was that she used to be a prosecutor in California. She said she would give the jury the arguments that they needed to make to their fellow jurors, because after everybody has had their say and the door is locked and the jurors are in there and they pull out their notes and all the exhibits and whatever else, they have to convince one another. So the prosecution and the defense give that jury the arguments to make with one another. And while I can argue with you here on the internet all day, or people can argue in the comments, please don't do that. I don't like that. But people can respectfully disagree in the comments. Hopefully they respectfully disagree in the jury room, but they need to have the words to use to convince other people of their side. I was like, that is a really good point, Emily. Tell them what they need to say. In used car sales, they call that loading their lips. These attorneys are going to load the lips of that jury. They're going to give them the words that they need to sway the other people. We've seen everybody go from saying hung jury, hung jury, hung jury, hung jury to maybe guilty. Maybe we get a guilty verdict. That is the most interesting part of this for me. Is this going to be a guilty verdict, or will this jury hang? And I honestly thought that hanging was easy, right? Like one guy refuses to deliberate, or he refuses to change his mind, or he refuses whatever. And then it's like, okay, well, that's a hung jury. Apparently in Judge Newman's courtroom, no, friends, that is not how that works. If they can't get to a space and they're like, Judge, we are irrevocably deadlocked, the judge will charge the jury and give them some stern words and send their behinds back in there. That's what they did in the Russell Laffitte case. They were just like, no, bop. And Russell was clearly guilty. They had a mountain of evidence. That jury deliberation got so contentious that 2 jurors needed to leave. One because they refused to deliberate. The other person was like, the stress is too much. I can't do it. I have to go take some medicine. I need to go home. And then once those 2 jurors were excused, the judge went back there. He talked to them. Those 2 jurors got excused. They brought in 2 alternates, and within an hour, a verdict was reached. So what happens here? You can't just be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to deliberate, or I'm not going to change my mind, or I'm not going to whatever. They will bring in somebody more reasonable who's at least willing to have the conversation. This is about to be tricky. The things for me that convinced me of Alex's guilt, number one, is clear and obvious. Number two, the state proved it, in my opinion. But more than anything, his guilty acts, right? Like the minute he calls 911, he's giving excuses. The minute anybody asks him, he's just like, see, no, what had happened was, and then trying to get Miss Shelley to lie, trying to get Blanca to lie. Listen, the state did not put the gun in his hand. They did not. But they did demonstrate means, motive, and opportunity. And you know what? Maybe the motive is a little bit weak. You know what I discovered today? The state doesn't have to prove motive. They don't. They don't have to say why. It helps if they say why. It helps if they give some examples. So you don't think this dude just randomly came home and shot up the whole family. Thank goodness he didn't shoot the dogs, because who knows what a crazy man might do. But the state does not have to prove motive. They have to prove that like everything was in place for this dude to have done this. This is a very strong circumstantial case. And I know some people don't see it that way. I personally see it that way. And everybody's going to have their opinion about this. There will always be people who are just like, he got off because the state didn't prove the case. He got convicted despite the fact that the state didn't prove the case. He walked because the state didn't prove the case. The state, everything is on them. They have the burden. They have the burden of showing that what they say happened. Listen, I have a bunch of notes and I don't have my glasses in yet. So I need to just take a peek and see what else I had there. Ooh, Alex's smirk. During closing statements, they kept flashing to Alex's face. Honestly, I wanted to have an Alex cam and I wanted to have a Buster cam. I wanted to see what was on Buster's face and I wanted to see the look on Alex's face. Alex was a very chatty Cathy as the defense was talking. He was like, he made every face in the world. The smirks, the eyebrow. He was mad. He was mad, y'all. And I was like, oh. And he had a lot to say to his attorneys. It was clear that they were listening to the closing, and Alex was like, he was whispering like he was in church or something, like, focus, pay attention. We need to be able to defend your crooked behind. So I'm going to need you to shut up and just take a note and let me hear this. I want to know what he's thinking. What is he thinking in his courtroom, in his jail cell tonight? Does he sleep good? He knows that this is the end. He knows in just a minute, this jury's about to go out and it's about to all go down. And so, Alex, help us explain why 3 people went to the kennels and only 1 came back. Help us understand why you, with your own lips, said nobody else was there. Okay, so the dogs didn't bark and go crazy, but you said that those chickens, those guineas, whatever they would freak out. They were watchbirds. I never heard of a watchbird. I wonder how guineas taste. Are they delicious? Tell me in the comments. They were watchbirds, and that they would alarm if somebody they didn't know was around. And you know, animals have that sixth sense. They're like, ooh, I feel something in my spirit. Ruff, 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 or chirp, chirp, chirp. But you, my friend, said nobody else was there but you. You said there was nobody around that they didn't know. Oh, so you just doubled down on killing your own excuse? Okay, you killed your own excuse and then you killed your family. Let's see. Oh, he said opioids gave him energy. I had not heard that. Now listen, I am not a narcotics enthusiast and I don't really even know any narcotics enthusiasts. Do opioids give you energy? I thought my understanding of how this drug works is that like when you can no longer get your opioids, then you go to heroin. And I know the heroin makes you sleepy. So that made me think that opioids should make you sleepy or relaxed or calm or maybe calm and paranoid. I don't know. But if they make you paranoid, doesn't that give you impetus to kill your family if you think they're up to something? Alex, were you detoxing, my friend? Did Paul and Maggie say, no, you can't have your pills? Listen, if somebody takes away my coffee in the morning, I could be homicidal. So if I'm withdrawing from drugs, I could see shooting somebody. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that sometimes that's what happens. What did Buster's face look like when all of this was coming out, right? Like, he's hearing all these stories from his dad. He found out just last week that his father was there at the kennels when the mother and brother was killed. Buster knows this family. Buster knows his father. Buster, poor little Tink Tink, might also be in a whole lot of denial. What is he whispering to Brooklyn at night? Brooklyn girl, I think my daddy did it. Brooklyn girl, don't pay attention to my profile on Grindr. I'm just going to go out and meet my friend for a few minutes. I'm going to be back. What is it? Oh, and Buster's living in a hotel right now, and Brooklyn is at work someplace. You know, Buster's Grindr is blowing up. I'm not accusing. I'm just saying, when you're stressed, what do? They said that they couldn't keep the dogs in the house because Buster had eczema, like allergies or whatever. I have the same thing. It is very itchy. It is very uncomfortable, but black soap helps. Anyway, you're not here for skin advice. But anyway, allergies and stuff are aggravated when you're nervous, stressed, and upset. Can you imagine a more stressful situation? I have come to believe that Buster did not flip off Mark Tinsley. I think he was chewing on his nails. Because if you noticed when he was on the stand and other pictures they've shown of him, he's like constantly chewing on his nails and picking. I bet his hair is red. Yes, I'll bet you his whole body is red under that shirt. That poor thing is probably in hives from head to toe. Number one, his father's on trial for murder. Number two, the family is very clearly divided. Maggie's family is like, we hope this fool goes to jail. I'm dying to hear their victim impact statements. Should he be convicted? And number three, Buster has said right out of his very own mouth, I don't want to see it printed that I'm standing behind my father. Okay, Buster. Who are you standing behind then? And then the other day, after Mark Crosby was on the stand and he was so upset and whatever, and he stormed out, our courtroom watchers told us that John Marvin got up and followed Ronnie Crosby out. What did they talk about? What was that conversation? Listen, this is a small community. All these families were enmeshed. Everybody knew everybody. All these partners at the law firm knew Alec, knew his family, knew the brothers, knew Miss Libby, knew old Randolph. Like, what happens to these relationships now? When one person in your family goes off the rails, aka Alex Murdaugh, does that ruin it all for you forever? Are these lawyers trying to find new jobs? They can't find new jobs because they have millions of dollars worth of personal loans to pay back from where Alex screwed them over. I cannot imagine. Will malpractice cover that? I don't think it will. Listen, if that happened to me or that happened to my spouse, I might pay for a hit. On the subject of hits, if Alec was drug running, like they say he was drug running, I also read with my little gossips down in the comments, thank you gossips from the comments, that Alex was running drugs out of Moselle and that small planes used to land on the airstrip that's out there on a regular basis. Okay, one of the cowboys, so there's a street gang, I don't know what they call them, but there's like a gang of bad dudes down there in Walterboro, the Walterboro Cowboys. That's a street gang. I'm not going to say hi to them because I'm trying to lay low and I hope they do not notice me. But apparently some cowboys were recently like convicted or went to jail or whatever. And one of them said that Alec Murdaugh ran half the drugs in Hampton County. So has the supply gone away? Are you noticing less people using drugs? Did somebody come in and fill the vacuum? What's happening? Are his brothers continuing the drug business? What's happening with the planes? Where are they landing now? We know Barrett Bulwer and Alex had all these uninhabited islands because I actually had I heard about this from my gossips in the columns, but I also heard about that at Mandy Matney's podcast. And so she was saying that like the islands were good as lookout for the boats and the planes and the whatever that was bringing all the drugs in. Have you seen The Wire? I loved that show. When it first started, I was like, I will not watch a show where Black people are killing other Black people because I am Black and I have Black sons and no thank you. But then it was a good show, right? Second season, not so much. But the first season and all the other seasons, Ozark, The Wire, like, yes, please. I was all about it. But in The Wire, when the one big drug guy went down, somebody else popped up to fill his place. Who has popped up to fill Alex's place? Who's running drugs in the Low Country? If you want opioids, where do you have to go? Do you have to go to another county? Do you have to go to another place? What is happening? I'm dying to know. And did those drug people, did they shoot Maggie and Paul? Did Alex have a plane fly in and then they shot somebody? I don't know. Listen, they should put me on the defense because that is a possibility. And if he gets off for murder, will they try him for drugs? Okay, I don't know. Let's see. So I talked about that. I talked about that. He's running drugs. The defense has promised to speak for less than 2 hours. Well, they have intimated that they can do their whole thing in 2 hours. Really? Do you think they can give their whole closing in 2 hours? I don't know. Listen, I'm there regardless. They can talk for 10 hours and I'm going to be like, this is taking too long. What else you got to say? Because I need to know everything. Very cranky Dick Harputlian is tired. It has been a long trial. His charm is wearing thin. He's kind of a pain in the neck. He ready for this to be done. Poot Poot needs a nap. Poot Poot needs to go back to Poot Poot Manor, maybe go see his wife down at Poot Poot by the sea in their summer cottage or whatever it is. And he's gonna need a nap. He has earned every bit of his money, but I think Mr. Harputlian and I have one little thing in common, that one thing alone. And that is that we can be charming when we want to. We work very hard when we want to, but the rest of the time, we want to make a whole lot of money for doing very little. That is the American dream. People talk about oh, you go to America and you work hard and you make money. Okay, that's one dream, and that is true. I have worked very hard in my life. I have, but now I would like to work a whole lot less and make a whole lot more. Me and Poot Poot have that in common. I do not live in a mansion. I do not drive a fancy car, as you have seen from my car videos, but I have a really nice life that I really, really enjoy, and I would like it to continue. Can y'all just send me millions of dollars? The minimum deposit for gossip, rumor, and innuendo is $1 million. Can they do that on PayPal? Does PayPal have a limit? Venmo? Something like that? I saw this buy me a coffee thing where you can buy your favorite podcasters a cup of coffee. What's the minimum on that? No, what's the maximum on that? Because people are like, you can send me $1. Don't send me $1. Send me $1 million. Send a girl a bag. Send a girl a bag. But I have planned my life. I have retirement going for me, something that drug dealers do not have. I have rest coming up. I have a nice family. I don't have the law on my back. I'm good. But a spare million? Well, who can't use a spare million? Listen, I have prattled on for far too long. It's probably going to take 4 years for this video to upload. Let's cross our fingers and hope it gets uploaded today. It's now 5 o'clock in the morning. That's late. Okay, I need to get my behind to the gym because they opened at 5 and I'm still talking to y'all. Listen, y'all go get your cute on. I'm going to go get cute too. I will talk to you later today after court. Bye.